like it's causing trouble with every other peripheral on my computer.
Hey everyone.
Hello. Welcome to SEO Unmasked number 33, right? On May 3rd. I got the title on this document wrong. That's alright. Anyways, yeah. We are back from Brighton. I am still alive. Barely.
Yeah, he had what did you have at the airport?
I didn't eat any oysters. I just had a Bloody Mary at the oyster bar. I'm not that adventurous.
I was going to say, if you were having oysters before 15 hours of flying, then
that's at an airport bar?
At an airport bar at Heathrow's down and dirty Terminal 3. If you've been to LAX, then Heathrow Terminal 3 is like, if you imagine that sort of in 20 years when they still haven't updated it.
I think LAX is pretty bad too.
Yeah, Terminal 3 is kind of like the it's its older brother or something.
Yeah. Just trying to link around here real quick.
Yeah, Brighton was a decent conference. I, per usual, don't go to the speaking events. I just go for the networking. And
I don't even know anyone who is speaking there except for John from Google.
Right. Yeah, he's the only person I knew, and then it's like he's not someone worth listening to because he's never gonna give you any information. So it's like when I stuck my head in the door, it was people asking really blatantly stupid questions like, "My site's been penalized. What should I do?" And he just has to answer like,
"Stop doing link spam, boy."
Yeah, it's like stop doing what you're doing because obviously it wasn't right. And it's like, should we do this and this? And he's like, well, I believe Matt Cutts covered that about 5 years ago.
It wasn't a real presentation. Like they've had Gary Ills come over before and do a proper presentation. He does more proper speaking. John was doing a live webmaster Q&A chat. So if you've ever seen like the online equivalent, you can imagine what it was like. Pretty basic and pretty terrible. We were in the bar networking though. So
but these are the people leading the SEO industry. We need to have faith.
Well, John Mueller is going to be there in June when we go to Minnesota.
Yeah.
So I'd skip that one and network instead would be my. I mean, obviously, if you're a young rookie SEO and you want to ask a question.
Yeah.
Your question will be better than the other questions, so you'll definitely get on the list. But if you haven't got a question, it's not worth going.
I think the MN search venue should be a lot better because it's a lot smaller. I mean,
that's what I'm.
Well, I don't know. The smaller ones we've always found terrible. Like, I mean, Ungagged and stuff. I mean,
yeah, but there's never any big names at Ungagged. It's just the same scam artist over and over.
I like that it's smaller because it will allow us access to actually hang out with the presenters and talk to them. That's what I'm more interested in networking with rather than, the business owners around Minnesota.
I'm just there to peddle links. Say hi
to John Cooper's going to be there. You got to you got to square off against him.
Well, he's like 1,000 a link or something. So
yeah.
He's in a different market from us. I was trying to explain that to someone who was chatting to me, a lead today. He's like, I want to do this and I want to do that, and I'm like, well, we've done that before, but it was like a full-on PR campaign, and like you guys are just trying to move up from like 11th to 9th. You just need like 10 links.
The only thing I got up against
you need to spend close to $0.
John Cooper is that he can't do gambling, porn, or pharmacy.
Oh really? We do loads of gambling, porn, and pharmacy.
And our links are better.
We've got a dildo client. We've got all sorts of them.
Oh my god!
We got someone doing some fleshlight stuff now.
I turned down those orders just because I would feel bad asking like the stay-at-home moms of my team to write about whatever they're asking me to write about. So we usually stay away from those three as well.
Oh no! Don't be limp about it, man. We had
you just got charged 10 times the normal price, and
we had a guy. I remember, years and years ago, I worked with an agency, and they were doing loads of stuff in the escort space, and so their writers had to be like.
You can request a call with him for $5. What is that? Sorry to interrupt. Okay.
Review the girls. I mean, I'm sure your writers would love to review 400 hot girls, right, Ben?
Well, one time we had a project where some guy was starting like a dating site, and they had to. He sent me something like 500 headshots because they were seeding fake profiles, and we had to write like 500 profiles for this dating website, and that got me some backlash from the writers. They did not like that at all.
Why?
What?
Why?
I don't know. They thought it was dishonest, so I guess it kind of was, but
Well,
and then like the guy wanted like some borderline inappropriate stuff in the profiles, so they're a little bit not happy about that.
Well, you just need to tell them to, it's just business. Like Don said to Roger after Roger made his life, it's like, come on, Roger, it's just business.
I gotta rewatch.
I don't know. I mean, I think we have pretty firm ethical boundaries in terms of legality. Like, we won't get involved in the marijuana industry in the US because it's not legally clear federally at the moment. We wouldn't deal with anyone who is shipping pills that wasn't licensed to prescribe online. Like if it's not legal, 100%, we have no interest in promoting you whatsoever. But if it's legal, I think it's just business. Like if you're legal in all jurisdictions you're involved in. Obviously, it's an international company. We have to be mindful that we can't do things that are illegal in the US just because they're legal in the UK, and vice versa. It has to be legal in all jurisdictions where we've got registered entities, because we have registered entities in both countries. But as long as it's fully legal, someone else's decision. It's just business at that point. So
I think I would be singing a different tune if I was if I needed new clients, but we're pretty saturated these days. So I'm at the point where I'm selective with clients that we bring on right now. But when we scale out, maybe we'll start doing some porn content.
It's not that. It's the people with the less popular stuff pay more, so it's much higher margin.
Mm-hmm.
This John Cooper guy. Our blog
really
includes
smart.
links from Entrepreneur Magazine, Adobe Digital Marketing Blog, the Buffer Blog, Huffington Post, all places that everyone else buys links from.
Oh yeah. But like he gets them by pitching and.
He does it the right way.
It's like saying, "Oh, I've got on Forbes." Like, there's a difference between getting on Forbes, getting some rubbish contributor to post something that no one reads, and Forbes' actual like tech columnist covering your startup or something. It's like. That's why he's expensive. I mean, I was joking about him being more expensive than us. I mean, he does different work than us. He's in the kind of same market that Lexi and her friend from the 24 Hours are in, the SEO PR stuff. So he's not getting you some links. He's getting you specific PR type links.
Right.
By doing it.
That guy must have had some pretty good vision when he was younger, because he's around our age and. He's leading the industry as far as what he's doing, and this is coming after he did point blank SEO. So he had a vision for sure when he was younger, getting started. He knew exactly what he wanted to get into.
You guys got to remember, you're all like a decade older than me.
I was going to say Garrett's actually quite a bit ahead of him. He might be able to keep that up if he doesn't if he doesn't keep getting wasting efforts and stuff. He might be able to keep ahead of him.
How old are you now, Garrett? I thought you were 28.
I just turned 28,
Oh, baby.
Yeah. My birthday was last Tuesday, and then I got on a plane Wednesday.
Forgot about that. Happy birthday, belated.
I had a client who thought Garrett was the oldest of the three of us when he watched the show. We just don't have convincing beards. Like, mine's just a wimpy England beard. You can't even grow one. You know what I mean?
Can't grow.
How are we gonna compete on maturity with Garrett, who just sometimes turns up on the show with like a full Minnesota? I mean, this is Garrett neat and trimmed. When he busts out a full winter Minnesota beard,
Garrett, do people in Minnesota even wear suits, or should I just wear like some kind of?
It's a lumberjack.
What's that?
Lumberjack shirts.
Yeah, lumberjack shirts.
Flannel is definitely a very popular clothing option. kind of like what you're wearing, like that kind of style, but different fabric.
Yeah, red and a lot thicker.
Made out of burlap.
Yeah, pretty much. Anyways, yeah, all the stuff for the 24 hours of SEO is on YouTube. I don't know if it's on the website or not yet, but all the videos are up on YouTube. If you haven't checked it out, feel free to do so. Lots of good content.
But you can still register on 24hoursofseo.com. And
yeah, if you register, you'll get all the slides. There's 2 presentations missing, I think, from the 24-hour site, just due to the ClickFunnels migration being a bit more of a pain than I thought. But I think we'll be happy once we've migrated everything to Thrive. So it's going to be, I mean, it loads a lot faster. I mean, I don't know how they can charge, because we were only on the basic ClickFunnels package. I don't know how they can charge people like $300 and have shit be so slow. But I mean, I guess it's really simple. I mean, it was definitely quicker getting the pages up in the first place on ClickFunnels, but once they're migrated, it seems like it's a lot easier to maintain them now they're on Thrive, and everything loads a lot quicker. And I'm pretty pleased with Thrive themes. But yeah, we got a couple more to fix up on there, but that'll be done in a week or so. But I'm not sure there were slides though. Lexi didn't have slides, did she? So maybe all the slides.
You guys are gonna have to excuse me for.
All right, let's jump into the first news item here.
Oh, and this was Content King.
Yeah, I thought you guys were playing a joke and were sharing a competitor's.
Oh no, they're not a competitor.
I know. They're actually
You've been going on about John Cooper for an hour, so we need to share some competitors. So these guys called Text Broker. You get some really quality stuff from it.
These guys named Text Broker.
You get some really good content from Text Broker. It won't all be like weird shit that you can't read. It's going to be amazing. Forget.
Yeah. What Word Agents does is we outsource to China, and then we just have Americans rewrite the content that we get from China. So
I knew a guy who really briefly, really briefly, like 3 months he tried this for. He tried to run a writing agency where he was like the sales, and he outsourced all the stuff to Text Broker.
Really?
Needless to say, his amount of time on the phone per day kind of increased exponentially during that 3 months until he decided this was a pretty bad idea. So,
actually, a lot of the other writing agencies that we all probably know pretty well, they outsource, they subcontract to Word agents. And,
well, I mean, a lot of the really cheap ones, they don't have any capacity at all at the minute. They've got no writers.
Well, look at this guy.
Oh, there we go. I thought he was going to put his flannel shirt on, but this is much better. This is the current superstar SEO.
Adler, the SEO UnMasked unofficial mascot.
He's got a pretty tight hold on your cable there.
All right, let's jump into this.
Content King. Vin was just ripping us because he thought this was his competitor and we were taking them.
Oh no.
I just thought the only reason I put this one in because we know Stephen anyway. He's going to come on the show at some point. So, little intro for you guys, the kind of content he's sharing. It's doing really well on Reddit at the minute in the SEO groups. But this is something we've spoken about so many times. People panic the instant they get a ranking drop, any kind of ranking change at all. In reality, a lot of the time you haven't even got a penalty, and sometimes it's one of these kind of things that you can diagnose and fix quite quickly. The one I found interesting was right at the bottom, though. I mean, the rest of it's kind of stuff we've spoken about before a lot, but let's get down to the bottom and dig it out so I don't misrepresent the content. It's very long. It's really good. So Oliver Mason, OHMGCon chap from OHGMCon chap from Twitter that we've mentioned a few times. He's found a thing where sometimes all Googlebot's seeing, because of JavaScript and all the stuff like that, it's just the HTML5 boilerplate. And so like it's just removing everything it finds that way from the index. So I thought that one was kind of interesting, because a lot of people feel like, oh my god, I've got a penalty, what's happening? Are my links good? And they're doing all of the first things on this. And what it really is some plugin they've got messing up their rendering, or because Googlebot's not quite as forgiving yet as the browsers. So,
in my opinion, these 10 steps that he wrote here would be a perfect.
Someone moved next to a river here.
Yeah, sorry.
This would be a perfect complement to just your standard technical SEO audit. So you can do an SEO audit and then also do these 10 steps, and I think that you would dig up why your rankings have dropped over a penalty, because there probably wasn't one, as you said.
Plus, I think a lot of people they panic after like 5 minutes. Last month they were up 20%. This month they were down 30%, and so they're like, "Oh my god, what's happened?" It's like there's a lot of movement month on month.
And you got to remember that the changes you're seeing today are results of actions you took a month to 3 months ago, maybe even 4 months ago. So you're not going to change something today and see a result immediately. It's a slow moving kind of thing.
Yeah. Something you did 6 months ago is affecting you now, and you're like, oh, what am I going to do now? It's like the worst thing you can do is start moving forward. Like if you've got a content plan, keep getting the content written. If you've got a link building plan, keep getting the links. If you've got a redesign going through, look at if anything that's design related is impacting user engagement. Like if people are bouncing back more since you started rolling out a new design, you might want to think about rolling it back, because you can measure that your end too. Like if people are bouncing back more, that's never going to be good for you in any way. Like forget SEO. Like if people are bouncing back more, you're going to be losing money. But for the most part, you just want to keep moving. And something like this article, this is great if you've already had a rankings hit, but you should be thinking about this stuff constantly. Like, is my site indexed properly? Is my user engagement okay? Are people sending shit links to my site they should be disavowing? I'm not sure about the log files one. We had the log files chap on the 24 hours of SEO. If you want to check that out, there's a log file analysis.
That was Paul Shapiro, right?
No, Paul Shapiro did automation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but yeah, I forget his name. I apologize in advance. I think it began with T, but anyway, my memory's not very good now. It was January and we're in May. But yeah, we've got a really good log file video on there, and that's not kind of my thing. Garrett's way more inclined to be looking at a log file than me, I guess. But just all this kind of stuff you should be doing. Andy Halliday, apologies, Andy. Your name is not Tandy, so. But yeah, I mean, just all this kind of stuff is stuff you should just be keeping a casual eye on constantly. Like you can't do a full audit every week or something, but just keep on top of changes, technical issues that you could be experiencing on an ongoing basis. So this is actually a good checklist, just especially for those of you with a team where you've got a member of staff that's doing X number of hours a week. Them spending 2 a week on skimming through an article like this and just keeping on top of have we made any changes? I should see what impact those have had and set some proper tracking. The log files, competitors, all this kind of stuff is stuff you want to be, especially the competitors, because so many people I speak to, they're like, well, I've been doing 10 links a month with one of your competitors. I'm thinking about switching because I'm not making any traction. And I kind of have a look on Ahrefs and I'm like, well, I'd love to have you switch to us with 10 links a month, obviously. But I'm looking at your 5 main competitors that are ahead of you and they're doing 20 to 30 links a month. So even while you're doing 10 links a month, you're falling behind by hundreds of links a year against your least aggressive competitors. So it's not something that's in a vacuum. Oh, I've got more links now, so I should rank better. It's like, do you have more links than the people you're immediately competing with who are already ahead of you?
Right,
if they're moving ahead more quickly. So the competitors one is so important. So I think this is actually a really good checklist just for general. If you've got a trainee that just doesn't know what to look at to see the effectiveness of their work and what's going on, this is quite a good checklist just to kind of skim through as well, not just for penalties. So I thought it was quite a good piece.
Yeah, for sure. It's these little tidbits are really what's going to make or break your rankings movement when you feel like you've covered everything else. So you need this kind of stuff in your toolbox to go in and dig deep to see what else you can optimize when you're really not getting traction after you have all your links, you have your content optimized perfectly, your tech SEO is on point. You can go through stuff like this and kind of find some other low-hanging fruit that might make the difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
this is one for Vin, right up your
yeah, Thrive Themes, which we're all a big fan of. They put out some awesome WordPress themes, and they also put out some other plugins like Thrive Architect, which is a visual content builder. They came out with an article this week dissecting what they consider to be the perfect article. So the article in question is, I'll share it in the chat. This ketogenic.
Yeah, sorry, Garrett. I should have put that in the document for the channel as well. If you grab that from Vin and pop it in later, I guess.
Yeah, and they share it in the Thrive article as well. And it comes along with a 13-minute video, so it's kind of a lot to cover here. But basically, this precision nutrition, they got everything that we've ever read from every SEO guru in one article. They have a great title. They have a hook that draws you in. They have short to the point sentences that pack value in every single sentence. The article itself is structured logically, so somebody that wants to skim the article can quickly scroll down the screen and find the points that they that's most important to them. So yeah, I don't know if there's any cookie cutter.
There was nothing interesting that you took away from it then that they'd spotted that was different.
Something that I've seen a lot of, I've seen before rather, is like the call out boxes. Like they present the broad content in a section, and at the bottom of that they'll have in a more advanced or a deep dive into the topic.
Yeah, let's take a deeper look. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of sites can use to differentiate themselves from the pack.
It's really readable on mobile as well, I thought.
Yeah, so they have the responsive theme in place. They have a fast site speed. So it's really just like the perfect storm of all the on-site optimization stuff that we all already know already. But Precision Nutrition really just kind of put it all together in this awesome article. And Thrive Themes goes through in a pretty lengthy video and talks about all the stuff that they did right. But for me, what jumped out is really the deep dive content. They're presenting, the introductory information for a subtopic, and also going into more advanced information for that same subtopic for the people that might already know the cursory, broad information. So I think that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, the things I liked were mostly presentational. I like that there's a custom infographic in here. I like that there's bullet points. The biggest thing for me, though, is the font size is a little bit bigger. And it's something that we've known for a while, and I don't know if we've mentioned it on the show. And if we look at, I'm trying to see what size it is. Yeah, I can't see what actual pixel size it is.
32 pixels. Maybe.
No, it's not that big.
It is.
Maybe the heading.
Yeah,
but I mean, I think it's probably 60. It's probably 18px to be honest, or at least 16px. I think it's 18. And I think 16 is the minimum you want to use on an article or a link bait you actually want people to read. People have a habit of, designers are like, oh, but it looks nicer and it's crisper with my headings if I go for 14 or 12. On mobile, it's not great. On massive screens like we all have these days, it's not great. On your Retina screen, it's not great. It's just too small. Like a nice big, this is massive and readable.
Right.
Like you just don't even, and there's not that much on the screen. Like that's another thing people forget is there's a reason newspapers were in columns originally. Like it's easier to read, where everything's just kind of connected in a short space. Whereas you got like half the articles on your screen because the font size is small. You have a habit of jumping around and getting out of sync with where you are. So there's been a bunch of tests. I'll try and find the article, but I read it like 10 years ago, so it's going to be hard to find again. But a lot of bounce rate testing with different font sizes and conversion rate testing in this super competitive gambling space. So not like your low CPA stuff. We're talking like where there's, you get an extra tiny percentage. You're making a fortune of extra money in the gambling space. And the font size is just really, a really big driver for people actually reading the article and converting. So if you've got an amazing article, don't dump it up there at 12px or 14px. Get it up there in a nice big font. And look at the first bullet list. It's in bold. One of the first bullet lists is in bold. So even for the skimmers, they're like drawn to read a whole bullet list before they get started on the first scroll. So I think formatting is as much important as all the other things that are good about this article in terms of technical stuff.
And I think that's a good point for all of our niche site builders that watch us. We're also so in a rush to get as much content up as possible. And we forget that we can put the same amount of time into a single piece of content, and that could do just as much for us as 100 articles.
Well, look at Brian Dean. He's become the niche seller of training in the SEO space. He just sells courses. He doesn't do any consulting anymore, or at least officially in public he says he doesn't. He probably doesn't unless you offer him. I'm sure if you offered him $250,000, he'd give you a few hours, but he doesn't officially do consulting. He's a training and influencer now in the space, and he has under 50 articles on his blog or something. They're just all really long, and sometimes he deletes them. Like we covered that one before about broken link building, and I think who was it did it? Was it Ahrefs? I think Ahrefs did a case study about broken link building, and they were looking at a Brian Dean post he deliberately deleted because I guess it was out of date and he didn't want to update it. It wasn't making money for him. It wasn't on message with his current products. So he even goes and deletes some of those tiny number of posts he's got. So he has a really small curated number of mega posts that rank for him and convert for what he's selling at the minute. And if you've got a niche site, that's kind of your objective. Like it might not be your course. It might not be your vitamin pills. It might not be your whatever. But if you had 30 pages that ranked for things that converted extremely highly, like Brian Dean does for his courses, then you'd be doing better than if you had 800 pages that converted poorly a lot of the time.
Right. And yeah, for sure. As I'm scrolling through this article, I'm just noticing other stuff too. There's no sidebar. The only thing that's where the sidebar would be your social share buttons, and those are kind of float down the screen as you scroll down, so you can share the article no matter where you are. I do prefer
the vertical social share than the sideways ones, but I guess if you've only got 3 on, it's not too annoying when it's sideways.
And then at the bottom, the end of the article doesn't just have a conclusion. It's got a CTA, so that you got they're doing something with a pre-sale list and save up to 33%, and then they have an opt-in form right at the end of the article. So they're giving you some immense value with the information that they've put together here, and at the end they're hoping that you convert by opting into their form. So
full article opt-ins work really, really well. We tested this ages ago, back when we were doing mostly PR. So we've kind of gone the opposite route from John. We kind of were getting into his space, and I guess the difference is he probably deals directly with customers a lot more than us, whereas we deal directly with agencies slightly more. And when it comes to PR, agencies have a big challenge managing their clients when there's an outsourcer involved. Like the clients, like, oh yeah, we'll totally sign an exclusive with New York Times where we can't release any information about this until September when they get around to writing about it, and it's January.
Right.
And you've got a target of getting them coverage every month. And you've got to get it all in after September. It's like, well, why did you let your client agree to that kind of thing? It's really, but then it's the New York Times. You know, we can get a paywalled article that 50 people will read. So it is really tough to be an outsourced provider of that stuff. So we kind of went back more towards the links. But we did kind of a full article opt-in thing. And one of the things that really surprised me the most was just dumping the full article into a post on Facebook with a click-through to opt-in was the most successful test on the campaign. People would read a full article just dumped into a post on Facebook. No pictures, just a big wall. Because no one does it. Like, if you see that kind of thing on Facebook, it's pretty weird, right? Like, no one's doing that kind of thing. So,
I guess
because we just tested everything. We had like
there's no character limit on Facebook posts, is there?
Sorry?
Is there a character limit on
Oh
Facebook?
yeah, it was a really short article. It wasn't like this.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was the same article we had on the blog as a full article. So we had a traditional opt-in, so like a hero image, a teaser. They click, they go to a landing page, like a ClickFunnels style page. It wasn't ClickFunnels at the time. We didn't use them yet, and we don't use them again now. But it's the same kind of thing, a ClickFunnels lead pages style opt-in. They bang their opt-in in, and then they go on the list. That converted pretty well. We had an article on our blog, so we sent, instead of sending them straight to the opt-in, we had the kind of hero image teaser, and then we sent them to the full article on our blog with opt-in at the top, opt-in at the bottom. And then the third test was we just dumped the article unformatted, no image, straight onto Facebook, and the winner was dump it onto Facebook where they can read the whole article and opt in straight away.
That's pretty interesting. How long ago was that now?
5 years ago.
Might be time to retry that test.
Yeah. I mean, always be testing. But I mean, that just shows you how out there you have to be on your testing. Like, test some sensible things that you think are going to work, and they always work kind of okay. Test something crazy as well.
Sure.
A couple of crazy testing. But yeah, full article opt-ins are really good was my main point. I mean, like, this is a full article opt-in. I'm sure it does well for them with the article being so long and stuff.
Yeah, this is a good one. I would definitely... And the more I scroll through this, the more I see it. There's storytelling in here. There's humor. You know, they're doing a real great job with the bolding and italicizing text.
But it's not dumb stuff. It's like proper sections. Like, it breaks the article up.
Yeah.
Because I've seen people just bold and italic random things. It's like, you got to be more strategic than.
No, you could tell that somebody went through here and were deliberate in their usage of that stuff. It's not just bolding, keywords or anything like that. Anyway, what do we got next here?
We're over to the LinkedIn article, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get to read this one.
So Google AdWords is getting really streamlined when you're making ads, and they can just kind of create its own copy for your ad for you. And he's just kind of talking about, or I guess he maybe not cover what I'm going to say, but I'm sure Google has quite a bit of data available over the last 20 years about what kind of copy probably works relatively good for a certain keyword, and they think it's going to work best, so they just auto-populate your ad copy for you, and this guy seems obviously against it. But
well, I mean, I think we spoke on the show before about the problem with this when it comes to their recommended keywords. Like, one of the big things a pay-per-click consultant will do straight away is take you away, and they tried to force everyone into broad match because what they're optimizing for is maximum ad spend.
Right.
with a tolerably appearing click-through rate and conversion percentage. And obviously, if you allow them to advertise products that you don't offer anymore because it worked well before, because it auto-generated it, that'll generate an amazing click-through, but you won't sell anything.
Now,
and it's the same as with the suggested keywords. Like, one of the big wins was to go through and take all the crappy ones that Google was suggesting out and put them in as negative keywords so they never hit your campaigns again. So I think this kind of automation is so far away from being ready to be used, and it would need input. Like, it would need you to tell it information. Like, it can't just take, what ads your competitors are doing to get clicks, what ads you've done before that have worked well, and deduce that you're definitely selling those products now, and that would definitely be your best route to get clicks. It's like, it's not ready yet, this technology. So I think he's right to say, for now, turn it off. I think it's exciting for the future because, like Garrett says, with the amount of data Google's got, they can get this right in 5 years or something. But don't opt yourself in to be a beta tester of Google writing your ad copy for you. And
but let me ask this: if all the people competing for a keyword, are they all going to get the same copy on their ads?
That's interesting. I don't know.
I guess if everyone opted in, yeah. But I think it's learning from your specific ads for your brand as well.
Okay.
I mean, there's going to be proper machine learning in here. This isn't a script written by me.
Gotcha.
I think there's a proper attempt to do machine learning probably going on here. But I mean, I think it's going to be decent. Like, if you're completely incompetent, it's going to beat those results. But if you're somewhat been practicing improving your ads and taking out bad keywords and improving, I think you should continue doing that for now. But keep an eye on this over the next 5 years, because, like Garrett says, they have so much data. I think you'll learn something from some of the suggestions.
Yeah, I mean, I still
but
definitely...
I mean, Sam says that. Look at the suggestions. Just don't let them run them automatically. Like, you'll see some amazing suggestions. Test them and run them. But you'll see some dumb ones as well. Just like we've seen dumb keywords in the suggested broad match keywords for ages that you'll need to negative. So it's going to be the same as on the keyword side. Like, Google wants you to run more ads. If everyone switched this on, everyone would run more ads. I'm pretty sure I'm not being unfair to Google there, but if I am, I apologize.
No, I think you're spot on right there. One of these days, I'll start running paid traffic to my articles, but
no, you won't.
I'm not there yet.
I always have it in the back of my head.
When we were struggling, we used to run it. When we were first getting started. The bigger your brand grows and the more people know you, and the better work you do, the less you feel like running paid ads.
Do you guys know?
I'm not talking about word agents. I'm talking about my sites.
Okay. Yeah. Then you're just doing affiliate arbitrage.
Yeah, I'm just scaling out to another.
Have you guys ever seen
how do you optimize your quants, Vin?
What's that?
How do you optimize your quants, Vin?
My
That's
quants.
all they talk about at TwitchCon. Like, what's your scrub rate and how do you optimize your quants?
Dude,
if you don't even know what I'm talking about. Garrett and I were like, what the hell is this guy talking about? And we asked a friend of ours who's a real arbitrage guy, and he's like, oh yeah, they're just sending shit traffic to their affiliate deals and they're trying to figure out how to get away with it. That's what those two questions mean. I was like, okay.
Quants is financial term, right?
Oh no, they've stolen it. Basically, they call what we used to just call advertising arbitrage, affiliate arbitrage, pay-per-click arbitrage. They now call that quant marketing.
Why?
Because it sounds better. What would you rather have on your card?
Isn't quants short for quantitative analysis? That's what quants is short for.
all they're doing is advertising arbitrage and looking at data. Very few of them the ones who are good enough wouldn't be doing it in affiliate arbitrage. They'd work for some huge bank making 100 million bonuses.
Yeah. That's actually I don't know if you watch the show Billions. It's about a fictional. Do you watch it, Billions, on Showtime? It's the story about a fictional trader at the top of his game, and he's constantly playing cat and mouse with the government, and they're building quantitative analysis programs right now to help them trade. So funny you said that.
It's a pretty cool space in trading, but the people who have marketers ruin everything. Like the traders are going to have to come up with a new term now because these donkeys that are doing affiliate arbitrage are calling themselves quants now. It's like, no, you're just doing pay-per-click arbitrage. Like, it doesn't take a math genius to buy a click and
yeah,
you know, come on.
You
won't spend a lot of money on that. Like, I guarantee you, even the site that you did the blog post about that you sold, you wouldn't have increased the value massively by having like a 500,000 a month spend on Facebook or something that makes
my idea is basically just to start with, you know, when I move, once I have the SEO on point and I have my my daily operating procedures for SEO going, to just start a budget for PPC and just start optimizing that.
No, you just do more SEO and add more products and
well,
I don't know. It's like 100% margin. Like once you've got the links and once you've got the content, that makes money forever then. But the crazy thing with SEO is you add another page and it just suddenly it's on it. Like when you first start the site, you'll be lucky if you're on page 4, even if your article's really good. And then it will eventually jump up as you add a few links and your site gets some age and authority. And I know we had Jared on the show a few times. He does a lot of studies around the age of sites, and he's seeing a lot of like under 12-month sites really struggling these days. So you get the age, you get the content, you get the links, and then suddenly you get to a point where you publish an article like your new big authority guide, like that one we just looked at, and it's 3rd on Google immediately.
Sure.
Why are you going to start spending money on pay-per-click? You can add a new page and add some more content.
Well, I'll tell you why. Because there's, especially in a small niche, there's only so many big short tail money keywords.
So widen up your niche. Your site's become an authority site.
Yeah. Eventually, you're just going to get to a point where you're just targeting long tails with every blog post.
Eventually, you're going to get to the point where you're the wire cutter and you're having $100 million exit. Like, I'm pretty sure you take that, Vin.
You don't think there's money to be had by
there is money, but no one sells a site that they don't have a product and they spend millions on advertising and they make millions as well, but the person who buys it has to be an advertising expert and continue to spend millions to make the money. People sell the wire cutter for huge amounts of money because the new buyer can be a complete idiot. And it would be stay the same as it was for a while.
They think it's a passive income asset.
Well, it is to a point because you've already done the hard work. You've built it to the point where it's the wire cutter. Like, I mean, I don't know if the New York Times is going to exit with a profit or not. I think they will because they're really smart about interlinking their properties and sharing their writers. And they are a content business and the wire cutter's a content business. So I would probably say, given that they're one of the few successful paywall companies and they kind of understand how this making money in today's world works, I'd give them a chance. I didn't like the redesign though, so they lost points.
Of the wire cutter?
Yeah,
I don't really like the new logo either.
So I think they've made some mistakes, but I mean, I think I'd give them a chance. And I think if you want a huge exit without having to get to the point that you can afford to spend millions, SEO is your only route. So, and if you're able to generate those kind of exits, well, I mean, like someone I know, they started an SEO agency many years ago. They sold that for a few million. They used that money plus a VC fundraise to start a business in a really competitive niche, just doing SEO to generate leads, lead gen space. Sold that for 100 million. Yeah. Now they're starting a SaaS company, which, unlike all the other SaaS companies that are growth hacking and Facebook advertising, do you know where all of their traffic comes from? SEO. Do you know what the amount of money he needed to invest and raise to get that started was compared to the ones that are burning 10 a month on customer acquisition is? Imagine spending 10 million a month on SEO. I mean, are you retarded? You'd be like number one for everything. But these companies, these startups, they start up, they raise 100 million, they start burning 10 a month.
Yeah,
it's just paid. It works, but it's a waste of money.
Yeah.
Steve, you have a question from the audience.
Go ahead.
Steve, did you allow Europe to accept so many cats to enter your continent? Question mark.
Well, the thing is with Europe, and this is actually something Garrett can relate to, having seen Europe now, is we have a lot of rats in our cities. So it's not that we accepted the cats. It's that when there's a lot of food available on the street in the form of rats eating garbage. I mean, if you go to Rome, you'll see it's insane. There's so many rats in Rome. There's millions of wild cats just roaming free. They have so much food, they breed very, very quickly in Europe because of our unsanitary conditions.
Oh, thank you for the question. Germ burn over there, yeah.
Yeah, SEO question. I wouldn't have answered that one normally, but Garrett, having suffered the horrificness of the London environment.
Should I talk about my trip, or should we just forget about it?
We should just forget about it. I think you had a pretty rough time. Maybe in a couple of weeks when the pain has eased off. I mean, the southeast of England is, pretty built up, London particularly, and then you head down to Brighton, which there's nothing down there if it's not sunny. All the seafront places you can drink are shut if it's chucking down with rain. So you've got the Hilton and the Conference if it's raining. It was a pretty. It's not where I would have recommended Garrett went on holiday, for example. So, for the Conference, it was fine. But I mean, if you like museums and old buildings, London's got a lot of stuff. But
something tells me that's not your thing, Steve.
No,
London is a disgusting
city. It's like an old, broken version of New York, and I don't even like New York.
It's an awful place.
It's like New York gets like a 7 out of 10 from me. So an old shit version is going to score pretty low.
I don't know why someone would have London as a destination on somewhere they'd want to visit. It is not a nice place. It is run down. It is dirty. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, it's seriously.
I don't know why. I guess I don't know why Americans are so infatuated. It's like, you have to go to London. We have to go to England. It's like everyone that I know is just on their bucket list. You have to go to London. You got to go see the fucking Queen. It's like, who the fuck cares? This is disgusting. Yeah, I mean, everyone pisses on the floor.
If Garrett was coming here on holiday, we'd go to the complete opposite side of the country and stuff. So it's like,
yeah.
Nothing down there is anything he's interested in. He'd want to, he'd go fishing and hang out and some.
Well, I don't mind even just hanging out. It's just good, it's like just London is somewhere I wouldn't even want to sit and hang out. It's just riffraff and piss on the floor and.
Well, I did say we should have gone to Canary Wharf. You might have preferred that. That's a little bit more. I'll hang out with the bankers in the cocktail bars and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, London has its little mini kind of financial district, but again, New York has the whole of Manhattan that's like that, and London has a little bit. So it's just if you like it, just go. If you're American and you want to see a big city, just go to New York. London's just a really old, lamer version or something with the Queen in. I mean, if you really love the Queen or whatever, I guess she's pretty old now. Probably best book your flight over the next couple of years.
So, Garrett, how does Brighton and London compare to St. Paul?
St. Paul will be nicer.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, St. Paul, yeah. I'd rather be in so Brighton would have been really nice, I think, if the weather wasn't so shitty.
Yeah, Brighton is,
I just don't recommend London. I just don't. London, when I first, my plane got in at about 7 a.m. And, I was there till, I don't know what time Steve got to Victoria Station, around noon or something. So, I spent about 5 hours on my own walking around and drinking beers and stuff and probably looking like a fucking degenerate, but it's...
Well, no. The reason the bars are serving you beers is because that's an acceptable behaviour in England. No one noticed you at all.
Isn't London having refugee and terrorist group issues now too?
Well, no, that's by design. Sadiq Khan tells us welcome the changes that are happening in London at the minute. What are you some kind of bigot, Pin?
Don't even. Let's just change the subject right now.
Yeah. Anyways, SEO by the Sea has an article out.
Yeah, London's a mess. I mean, they've got so much crime now. Like the murder rate's insane. It's like no one even has any guns, and they're still managing to kill people like as if it was Chicago or something. Like how do you kill so many people when you can't even shoot them? It's like London's a mess at the minute.
All right, so I'm taking London off my bucket list.
Yeah, I wouldn't bother. If you wanna come over here at all, go to Edinburgh. If you want to see a city here, go to Edinburgh.
If I come over there,
Edinburgh is
taking
beautiful.
me and my wife around, and you're being our tour guide for a week.
I will, but you won't go anywhere.
Yeah, I will.
For Edinburgh, you won't go anywhere that American tourists normally go, because I hate all of those places because they're shit. You won't go anywhere again. You won't drag me down there again unless there's something going on that I have to go to.
Yeah, that's usually
like
how
I go to business meetings in London. Like that, if I'm not making any money, I don't want to be in London. There used to be a saying, like all the bank managers used to say, like when I was started at the bank, and they're like, you need to get a few years in London while you're young because it's shit down there, and you want to get out, but you get more money for a few years.
Yeah.
So if you were a young banker, you go to London until you were like 27, and then you get the fuck out to the countryside and live a good life.
Yeah, I thought I wanted to live in Brooklyn or New York City for a while when I was younger, but when I hit 30 years old, I'm like, I want nothing to do with this. It's nice to go to party for a weekend, get a hotel for a couple of nights.
Well, just imagine if those places were a bit more crap. That's London.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get back on track here.
Yeah, so I think everyone saw that the page rank patent was updated. We actually had an interesting conversation with Hammond Johns, was it, at Brighton SEO, about Google's lesser known dealings with Yahoo and all that kind of fun stuff, and how part of this patent plays into, or it came from Yahoo, right?
It was super interesting that they in the original PageRank patent they mentioned Yahoo's trust rank as one of the inspirations for what they're trying to do, and they've enhanced that in this. They've referred to that original work from Yahoo, and it's something they're building on here to try and figure out, like pages they definitely trust will pass more PageRank in future than. Assuming they implement this patent. I mean, as you know, with Google, from patent to implementation can be anything from immediate to 7 years, because some of these mathematical problems and machine learning problems are pretty complicated when you're dealing with the whole web. But yeah, it makes sense, and it's something we've talked about on the show before. Like you look at a site that. Loads of sites can have the same metrics, like the same DA, the same DR, the same citation flow, but you look at them and some of them are just complete trash. Like they're obviously made for links, they've changed ownership. Like this is just a kind of formalization of, they clearly want to keep using PageRank. Well, I mean, Matt Cutts said, Gary Earls said, John Mueller said, we still use PageRank as one of the ways that we determine the authority of a page. Obviously, we have amazing machine learning that understands the words on the page better now than before. So we're not just using, like you've got this title and you've got 400 links, therefore, and it's PageRank 7, so we'll rank you number 1. Now they can say, well, Vin's article is fucking amazing and it's PageRank 4. This article is shit and it's PageRank 7, so they're going to be pretty close instead of miles apart like the old days. This is just kind of taking that understanding of trust and what things are into the link graph as well. So see if this helps Majestic, because Majestic's the only player that's trying to model this accurately since forever, probably since the Yahoo patent. Like Majestic's been trying to model this trust and trust groups and topical trust and stuff like that. It's something that I'm getting more into now and looking at. It's just a lot more, so I think it's a big advantage for Majestic because no one else is playing around with this. Everyone else is just trying to say, oh, we've got more links now so we can work out authority better. Moz is probably slightly ahead of Ahrefs on paper, but they're behind them when you look at the actual results. Like I think Ahrefs still eliminates crap better than Moz, but Moz in theory are trying harder. But Ahrefs seem to have stolen a bit of a march. So I think I'd say Majestic's the leader in this space, trying to model what Google's doing. Ahrefs is number 2, but Moz is, since their recent updates, a close number 3. But it's all about just, if you have a link from a PageRank 6 page that Google doesn't trust as much the pages that are propping it up, it's worth less than a PageRank 6 page. They trust more the sources of that authority.
Right. So what you're saying is that there's shades of gray when it comes to a single metric.
Yeah, which we've always known, but it's the sites you look at and you're like, it's DA40 or something, but it's like, I don't want to link from this.
Yeah.
That's hard for an AI to determine. That's what they're working on. And the easiest way for them to do it isn't to have it look at the thing and try and learn what we learn, all these 800 things that we learn. It's to look at, trusted sites are linked to from other trusted sites, which is a little bit what trust flow is. The problem with Majestic's trust flow is it's really non-granular. Like everything has 5+.
Mm-hmm.
Quite a few have 10+. Nothing has 20+. It's like a really narrow. Like you want to be 5 to 20 mostly, but it doesn't tell you anything much where you are in that range.
So it was kind of like how we Ahrefs grouped all, DR10 and less is like
I've fixed
millions.
a little bit since then.
Yeah.
The problem with the Ahrefs one now is like everything small is between 0 and 2. Everything in the middle is between like 2 and 20. So you've got sites that are just DA40 and citation flow 35 that they're giving a DR 75 to. It's like, come on.
Right.
Ridiculous. It's not a 75. So they've solved one problem because they felt like their low DRs were too high. So they fixed that, but it's resulted in the top end scaling.
I kind of took from
30
that.
30 or 40 points higher than their 2 competitors on sites that are just that. A DA40 site is a decent high mid, I should say, high of the middle. That's not DR75, DR80. That's ridiculous. Come on.
Well, what I took from that really is that their idea was that now that the web is aging, and along with it, all the websites that are on the web is aging, there needs to be somewhere to go. So, there's certain sites that are up at that 70, 80 DR range that really shouldn't be there. And
well, they've added more. They've added ones that were in the middle before that are now massively up.
Really?
Because they've eliminated so much of the bottom, people at the top end have way too high scores now. I mean, look, Moz solved this and PageRank solved this. I mean, I hate to big up Moz, but it's a logarithmic scale. It doesn't matter how many links you add. Like Moz did their biggest ever update. They went from being basically 4%, 10% of Ahrefs' index size to bigger than Ahrefs' index size. Do you know how much sites, like across all of the database we've got? We've got like 50,000 sites on our database or something that we monitor. The average change was 3 points when they added all that extra data. Because they were doing a pretty good job of having a scale that works. So you add a load more data, but you're adding data from sites you weren't bothering to scrape before, which should all be really low authority ones anyway. So it shouldn't totally mong your data up. Like Ahrefs, I think their formula was just wrong to start with, and they still haven't got it right. I don't trust domain rating that much. I think the only thing they do well is if something has an absurdly low domain rating, but it has a good citation flow and a good DA, sometimes there's a reason. Not always. I mean, sometimes you look and it's like an amazing site, it ranks well, but it's kind of just they seem to trigger a little bit more than the other two in terms of just finding ones to throw away. But like I say, sometimes you look at them and they're fine. So it's like a 1 in 7 thing or something. But if they are 1 in 7 better sometimes, that's one thing they've got going for them. But they're terrible at finding what the real high authority sites are. I mean, Majestic's the best. If you want to find a really amazing site, I mean, good luck finding many sites that have got citation flows above 50. I mean, it's like...
Right.
Whereas like everything in the world that was kind of DA40s, like not everything, but you know what I mean? Like DA40 to 50 now, you find sites with 70s and 80s on Ahrefs. So they've all got their strengths and weaknesses. That's why we report all three now, and we have the blended metric, because we can show that across the three we're delivering really good across the board. But I couldn't pick one right now.
Yeah.
I think Majestic will be the winner, the way things are going, especially if Google roll out this trust thing really quickly, like say in under 2 years. In 2 years' time, Majestic will be in a really strong position. So
it's interesting.
Keep an eye on what they're doing more than
a couple of months back. There was a couple of companies claiming that they had access to Google's PageRank, and they were.
SERPWoo does. We had the tip on the show from the viewers. Yeah. You can now, on your SERPWoo rankings. I did share a picture, but we were down in Brighton and I couldn't get the Wi-Fi to work, so Garrett hasn't had a chance to dump it on the show. But I guess we'll put it on some image sharing site or whatever. But you put like you go to any of the keywords that you're monitoring on SERPWoo, and it shows you the page rank for the pages that are ranking for all the. The thing that was most interesting for me was that if it is the real data, which SERPWoo says it is, and I guess I have no reason to distrust them given their behavior in the market so far. So I'd say it probably is. They've probably done some deal to buy it from Google, because I've always said I bet Google would sell it if you offered them money.
Right.
Like they were like, well, we're not giving this free toolbar thing away anymore because it doesn't do anything for us, and it's just like one metric. Like, why do you even need to know it? But I was always like, I said at the time, I said, I bet if someone offered them money, like if Ahrefs or someone offered them money, they would sell it to them for a few million. Because why
just access to the data, not.
Yeah, just buy it from us, give it to you, because it's nothing. It's like they have it anyway. It costs them nothing to provide it, like a few million. Like, I mean, I'm not saying that's what's happened. Maybe they've done some other kind of weird deal where they give data back to Google, or who the hell knows what the deal is.
Yeah.
But you know, like Google will do deals. They do deals with everyone. They've done this whole patent. They did a deal with Yahoo originally. I mean, come on, like, they're not exactly a company that doesn't do deals. I mean, they might even be better than Donald Trump at doing deals. Maybe they'll write The Art of the Deal 2 by Google. But yeah, they're a company that does deals, all joking aside. And like so, but the thing that I really amused me was the page ranks haven't changed. Like in terms of relative terms, like a mid-tier site is still page rank 3 or 4, and an internal page 1 to 2 clicks from the homepage is still page rank 3. So you can be sure that a new blog post on a site that is page rank 4, because it's really close to the homepage, because it's a click or two away, is going to be about page rank 3. It'll be about 1 point below, just like it was when we could use the page rank toolbar easily. I looked at tons of them, and it really hasn't changed how that works. So assuming the SERPWoo data is accurate, not much has changed in terms of the raw page rank numbers and the way it works. If you get a fresh new post on a blog, sure, you won't see any, Ahrefs, DR, page authority and Moz and all this kind of stuff, because it's a new page. And the thing is, the way they calculate it's completely different from the way PageRank was calculated, because PageRank took internal links into account. So if you were close to the homepage of a high homepage page authority homepage, that would pass to pages that were 1 click away. If they were also linked around the site a bunch, that all passed PageRank. All the emulators like Page Authority, I forget what the domain rating equivalent is on Ahrefs. What do they call it? We'll just call it Ahrefs Page Authority metric. I read their blog post about how they calculate it, and it's completely different from PageRank. They look at specifically links to that page. That's not how PageRank works. Like a page on a high authority site had higher page rank because it had links internally from that higher authority site. So none of the other metrics were ever, in terms of page authority, were ever a replacement for page rank, except for MozRank, which obviously retired publishing for everything. When they benchmarked it to page rank, they tried to use their data to make it match as closely as possible to the real page rank data.
Right.
And obviously, without the real page rank data, it's never metrics, so they kind of retired publishing that a lot. But seeing the PageRank data, it really is the same as it was before. If you have a page that's a short number of clicks from the home page, it will be within a point usually of the home page's PageRank.
So if you're a beginner SEO right now, what metric is in today's environment do you suggest? And you can only afford to buy one tool or one subscription. Or
Maybe if I just have to use one tool and nothing else, then I would use Majestic citation flow.
Now,
because that, you know, it's an authority site. Now, what I would say is, obviously, if you have a Majestic account, you get lots of other free data for free. If you're a beginner SEO, to help you get around the fact that you haven't got a spidey sense yet for what's a crap site. So they do give you trust flow, which I don't trust at all because it's such a clunky metric. It just goes in. It needs to be like a more spread out.
Right.
Like you plot it on graphs against all the other metrics, and it's just it's hard to kind of make sense of. But what is really useful is the topical trust flow, where they'll tell you what the site's about, and that gives you an idea what types of links the site has. So if you're trying to get health links, you look at the topical trust flow, and the site only has dog links or something. You can get a good link from that site if it's, say, an article about how your dog will be more healthy, but you need to be getting all of your trust and your topical relevance from the article then. Whereas you need a less relevant article that has your link in, or a less relevant place for your link to be.
If the domain is top.
Yeah. So you have to, it gives you a better chance of optimizing for what you need to do. So if the site's already perfectly on niche for you, you can be a little bit more flexible with what kind of article you can have your link in.
Right.
If the site's a bit less relevant to you, then you...
And I think that's something that people that have been doing this for a while know intuitively. Like that just is common sense almost. But to a beginner, having that metric, I think it will be really helpful.
Yeah, well, that's why I answered it that way, because you said for beginner SEO.
Yeah, sure.
I think for a beginner SEO, Majestic is by far the most powerful tool right now. For an experienced SEO, I think it's still, I hate saying this, but it's still Ahrefs.
Just because of the number of tools and
the number of tools.
And the way you can filter the data, and you can look at the data a lot of different ways on Ahrefs.
Yeah, well, and let's be honest, you're never going to look at the topical trust flow on Majestic if you're an experienced SEO, unless you have just a massive list to get through and you're trying to make a shortcut to get, like, oh God, I've got 10,000 here, I need to find 500. You might use it as a shortcut to find the 500 you look at or whatever, but like you just look at the backlinks yourself quickly.
Yeah.
And Ahrefs has the most data at the minute. They're still the leader. Moz says they are, but I'll believe them in 6 months if they can keep it up. I'm not going to believe them on one update that they've beaten Ahrefs, because Ahrefs has more crawlers than anyone other than Google. Like, I don't believe that Moz is, with less crawlers, going to be able to keep the lead. I believe that if, hold off and just have a massive, we'll spend all our money, we've got a new CEO, Rand's finally gone, we're going to make some good news.
Rand's finally gone.
Well, that's what it is. It's the Rand's finally gone news. Rand's finally gone, and now look, we've got the biggest index. Can you keep it up? Because you couldn't keep it up before. We'll see in 6 months. But so I still think Ahrefs is the winner for experienced SEOs, because you don't need the hand-holding of all this topical trust, and you figure it out yourself. But Ahrefs has better data and more tools. So for an experienced SEO, I know Garrett just pretty much exclusively uses Ahrefs.
Well, I'm using for backlink analysis, I have Ahrefs, but like we talked about today, SearchStat is good, decent, and Keyword Cake for keyword research I've been using.
Yeah, I definitely I need to try out Keyword Cake. I got the guy from rank.nl or whatever that you recommended on.
Yeah, sure.
The 24 hours. He gave me a trial account. I still need to try that, but I don't like Ahrefs' keyword tool. I don't think it's very good.
It was released in a massive rush when Moz brought their keyword tool out.
The keyword explorer. Yeah, that's not the greatest, but it's not the greatest with long tails, and it's not the greatest
No, they released it in a massive rush. Like Moz released that.
I guess what I really don't like about it is that their traffic estimates seem to be the worst out of most tools I've looked at. Which can make it hard to.
That's one really interesting thing that Ahrefs is wrong about, and all of them are wrong. But Ahrefs is off by an order of magnitude.
So it makes it really hard, if you're already using, and you don't know it, like a mediocre kind of keyword research tool, and then you're thinking like, oh, all these long tails are only getting 10 hits a month. That's not worth doing. But then all of a sudden you go and look at this other tool after a couple months, and you're like, son of a bitch. All these ones I didn't, decide to work on are getting like 750 hits a month or something.
I really like this. I really like the SERPWoo keyword research tool.
Which is something I haven't. I should really use it more.
It's how you use it. It's more work, because the way it works is it looks at the top competitors and what they rank for. So you have to put more inputs in and keep exporting to get like your whole batch of data, but it gets you stuff that other people don't get, because what the other tools do is you put the phrase in and it tries to find you related stuff. Some of your competitors are smarter than you, and they've found related things that their sites can rank for that make them money that you haven't thought of.
Yeah.
SERP will find those because they rank for them.
Right.
So the SERPWoo tool unveils things that no other keywords research. Because if a keyword-based keyword research tool instead of a competitor for that keyword-based keyword tool released it, and you got so you put in dog exercise and you got in cat diarrhea, you'd be like, what the fuck's this tool doing? But on SERPWoo, you know that's what it's doing. It's looking at other sites that are beating you for dog exercise, and they also have a crap load of stuff about cat diarrhea. You're like, fuck, I'm missing the real money. All the money is in cat diarrhea. All of these fuckers are dominating in that space. And then you find the affiliate deal they've got, you find what they're up to, and you've unlocked a whole load of revenue to your pet site that, I mean, obviously these aren't real. I'm not in the pet space. I'm sure people exercise with their dogs, and I'm sure cats get diarrhea. So I'm sure they are two real things, but that's the kind of totally tangential stuff that SERP will pull out, which I don't think there's another tool that does it. I mean, I'm really impressed with everything SERPWoo's doing, to be honest, because they just move so fast. The updates just keep coming.
And I'm ashamed to say this, but I have yet to use them at all. And we know those guys well, so
yeah, I grab an account now because they keep putting the pricing up. So my legacy pricing is already a very, very good deal, and I'm sure the current pricing will become a very, very good deal in 6 months. So
nice.
Because they're like Ahrefs. I mean, the Ahrefs price has gone up a lot since they started because they've added so much. I think SERPWoo is going to be a pretty serious tool. I mean, it was actually SEM Rush that lost out to SERPWoo because we're really strict now, because I used to just keep signing up for SaaSes like they were going out of fashion.
Mm-hmm.
And you find yourself, you're spending thousands a month on them, which doesn't sound like much. Oh, it's only like $1,400 or whatever. A bunch of $99 SaaSes. But then at the end of the year, it's like $2,000 or something. It's like, well, wait a minute. We could have had an extra $19,000 in my pocket.
Or another employee that...
Or another employee, another junior employee or something, yeah. So you have to be strict with yourself on SaaSes that you think are fun, but SERPWoo is one that I think adds so much value in the stuff it does that others don't do. And the specific geolocation-based local rankings, if you're a local SEO, that's so cool.
Do they give you search volume on local terms or no?
They do have it, and it is better than you can usually get, but I don't know that it's necessarily amazing.
Right.
But it is much, much better than the Zero's Ahrefs reports a lot of the time for those local queries.
Interesting. I got to check that out. I'm going to do another content push on one of my sites real soon, so maybe I'll use them to do some keyword research.
Be really interesting. You don't have to tell us the details, obviously, on the air, because it'd be really interesting just for the viewers to find out if you did find any weird tangents that you wouldn't have thought of otherwise from SERPWoo, because I found some bizarre stuff over the years looking. And SERPWoo is pretty clever at finding them for you. You haven't got to do the work you used to have to do.
Cool. We have any other news here, or was that it?
Just one other thing from Twitter, quick.
Okay.
Steve found a cool little picture. How a lot of the big companies, such as Facebook, Google, Pandora, Twitter, upwards of 80% of their revenue is all from advertising versus real product and service providers such as Apple or Microsoft or Spotify, Match.com, less than 5%
Expedia.
of their, less than
Yeah,
a
but
5%.
aren't all those the companies that are actually doing the advertising?
Well, yeah, but they would be doing the advertising on TV if there wasn't an internet advertising. I think it's just an interesting divide. Like you're either basically close to 100% an ad company, or you're close to 100% a real product company.
Oh, gotcha.
That's the divide they're showing. It's like there's no one in the middle. All the unicorns are either 100% we make a real product like Dropbox, or we're 100% we fuck you over and steal your data like Facebook.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I'm not going to be too hard on Google because
can you guys off the top of your head think of a hybrid company that's doing both?
I can't. Not that's a unicorn. Not that's a unicorn.
Just trying to think of stuff.
I mean, I think they'll appear in the Internet of Things space because your fridge will have recommended products and there'll be paid placements.
Right.
But it's still going to be a $3,000 fridge. They're going to make most of their money selling you the fridge, but they're going to make an extra $200 a year on sponsored recommendations per fridge. So over the 5 years you have the fridge,
there better fucking be a way to opt out of that.
It's going to be 30-40% advertising or something, and 60% product. So there's going to be Internet of Things hybrids like that, I think.
Yeah, I wish I could I could think of something that'd be more towards the middle.
I don't think they exist yet. I think you either.
Yeah, so now I'm trying to think like what would be.
Well, the fridge is. I think.
Yeah. But what else? Like
I would say more like aggregator sites like an Expedia, somebody that would sell advertising on their site, but then is also selling a service as well.
Well, Expedia, they're a travel agent. They're just a traditional travel agent for the digital world.
Yeah, so
I think Uber. I think companies like Uber could become the middle, because at the minute they just sell a service. But when it's a self-driving car, and it knows that you're always hungry at about 6 p.m. when you're doing your business trips and your meetings, it's like, oh, your favorite panini is available at this shop 2 minutes away. That's going to be a sponsored, because Google Maps already has that and stuff, doesn't it? Like it tells you where McDonald's is and crap like that. Like I think that kind of bollocks can be improved massively. Right. And if it's in a self-driving car, I think Uber has a chance to find the middle ground because they can make money on you've paid them to drive you, but the advertisers pay them to tell you where the stuff you like nearby. So I think Uber could become a middle as well. I think the middle is something that will happen, but there aren't any obvious unicorns in the middle now to me, I don't think.
And I think that it would be a very unique situation too. I don't think it's going to open up a new market or a new vertical, so to speak.
Well, maybe Uber won't be quick enough to come across it, and Lyft will be the first to adopt a really good recommendation engine. Maybe they partner with Google or something, and Lyft becomes the middle company in the self-driving car space ahead of Uber or something. Right. So there is an opportunity there to find the middle because there's more money in the middle. Like if you can sell a service and sell loads of ads, because Google sells basically no services like cloud.
Well, how about this? How about a niche site guy like us, person? They make all their money from affiliate. What can they do to transition from affiliate to sales of a product?
Well, like Neil Patel, when he and I hate bigging him up because a lot of his stuff is terrible, but he did a really interesting case study when he did, like, I think it was some kind of health or diet site or something, and he got his own white label vitamin. So instead of selling someone else's affiliate shit or selling ads on his site, it was 100% all the money. Well, not all the money, but 90% came from selling his own supplement fulfilled by Amazon.
Yeah, all the guys I know that were huge affiliates back in the Wickedfire days, they moved over to FBA, where they just created their own product. But I mean, think about it. How many of us know websites that, you know, all they do is rank articles, you know, top 10 product lists?
That space is becoming a lot more competitive. It really is.
Yeah, but how, you know, once you dominate your niche, what's the next step? Maybe create a product.
One of the top 10 should be one of your products.
Exactly.
I mean, you know, that would be an interesting space for the New York Times. I mean, they have the muscle to, you know, they own the Wirecutter. Why send people to Amazon to buy a mattress? Why not have the official, you know, why not have a brand, Wirecutter brand mattresses? Like, someone like New York Times can make that happen, and they can make that happen. They can make that happen overnight across 100 verticals.
You know what the problem is with this is? I think that once people see the money that can be made with selling a product, they're going to quickly vacate from the advertiser or for the affiliate space.
Well, I mean, I think the thing is, well, look at the companies. I mean, Microsoft is smaller than Google. So at the minute, the people who just sell ads are making the most money.
Yeah.
I mean, Dropbox is making money, but they're struggling. Netflix is losing money because they're trying to win market share. Apple's the kind of real standout.
Some of these companies, the goal isn't necessarily to be the biggest moneymaker. They're there to be.
Yeah, they're still branding. They're still growing.
It's like Netflix's goal now is to be its own network, not necessarily.
Well, they would
make more money than NBC.
Yeah, but look at networks. What they're trying to achieve makes less money than Google and Facebook.
Yeah, but I don't think Netflix necessarily cares as long as there's someone.
Well, they do, because they're supposed to be the future of television. If they
well, let me put it this way: if Amazon wasn't reinvesting as much as they're reinvesting into scaling to other markets and growing, would they be making a lot more money than Facebook right now?
No.
The profit margin would not
even close. Facebook's 100% profit, near enough. Yeah, I mean, it's 100% profit. I mean, for Google especially, it's nearly 100% profit, because if they fired everyone and didn't change their search engine for 10 years, that's probably how long it would take for a competitor to take their business from them.
So it shows the power of being an intermediary service.
Yeah. The power is definitely on the right side of this graph right now in terms of money-making power. The future, though, and companies that might still exist in 100 years, who the hell knows? I mean, I know a lot of stock investors consider Apple to be a short-term investment, not one to have in your retirement portfolio, because
what do they have left?
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, they dominate. It's clearly at some point they won't be the best phone, and they won't have the cult following because fashion changes.
Right.
It'll become an old man's phone, you know, like when, you know, like Obama had a BlackBerry. When the next generation's Obama has an iPhone, the kids will want something else.
Right.
The kids didn't want a BlackBerry.
Well, if we're talking about keeping up with the times, I would say Microsoft is a little bit ahead of them than Apple. They're getting into the augmented reality and all that kind of stuff. So
Microsoft's a really smart company. I mean, I think Windows 10 was a revelation. Like, I hadn't used a Microsoft operating system for so long. I'd been 100% Linux. Windows 10 was like so much better than, in terms of just things like battery life compared to Windows 7. Like, it's 30% better battery life than Windows 7.
Yeah.
They just made so many improvements with Windows 10 at the same time as they're making their core product more appealing. Like if you have an iPad Pro, you can get Office on it now, proper Office. You can actually work on your iPad Pro. They've become receptive to the fact that they can't dominate the devices necessarily, but if they just keep making sure their software's everywhere, they're winning. But then they're also gambling on the future of what types of weird devices people are going to use, like that stupid big table, the weird televisions, the headset, all that kind of stuff. We're not all using it in our day-to-day lives yet.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen it at school these days, the smart blackboards. They've been around for a while now, but every year they're being improved. Those kids are going to be the kind of kids when they go to a business meeting and there isn't one of the Microsoft screens up, they're going to be like, how do we have a meeting? What do you mean? I've got to do a still PowerPoint that I can't interact with and drag things around live? What the hell is this? Some kind of fucking Neanderthal company? So like the first thing when they get a budget they're going to buy is one of those Microsoft screens so they can do a proper meeting. They don't have stationary PowerPoints. Kids that are going through school now are never going to do a stationary PowerPoint because everything they do is interactive. When they're learning how to say they drag the fucking letter up onto the screen from the, like nothing's a stationary PowerPoint anymore.
Yeah, I had a friend that was in college and they were talking about those smart screens, and I didn't even know that existed. I was like, what the hell is that?
So Microsoft's a leader in that space.
That's another conversation.
HoloLens, and they're already investing in HoloLens, and they've said if their phone business, they're not going to make another phone until the next generation of phones arrives.
Right.
Like the way iPhone, they made their first phone when a new generation of phone arrived. They judged the time to be right to turn a music player into a phone and music player. Because everything was good enough that you could consume media on the device and make phone calls. Because it's actually a shit phone. I mean, the signal's terrible. Like some models, like the last 3 generations ago of model, you held it wrong, it wouldn't pick up signal. All that kind of bollocks. It's never been a great phone, but they've always made a great media player, and they judged the time was right where people would want. The primary use for most people's phones now isn't making phone calls. People don't make 800 minutes of phone calls on their phones anymore, like they used to. Everyone's data consuming media using their smart apps, and they judged it perfectly. And Microsoft has said they're going to do the same until they see a new market, something totally different from the mobile market. They're making another standard phone to try and compete in this mess that's now.
Yeah, because it's just a commodity at this point, and it's just who's the cheapest.
Which disappoints me because I did really love Windows 10 mobile was fantastic.
Yeah.
You literally had a full computer.
It was Windows 8 that only had the cards, right? And there was no start menu. That fucking sucked. But
that was a mistake because they forget that like their fans are desktop users and the evangelists for Windows still are desktop users. Like Garrett still loves Windows 7.
Yeah.
He bigs it up, like you're not going to please someone like Garrett by fucking up the whole user experience that he likes. Like he's telling people, oh yeah, Windows is still good. What are you doing? Like you go and fuck him over and take his start menu away and give him some fucking tiles on his. It's like I'm using a mouse here. I can't touch my fucking 40-inch screen. Like what are you trying to do to me?
The one major detractor of Windows 10 was all this privacy shit, and
you could turn off after the second update. Though they realized there was a lot of backlash.
Yeah, the biggest thing I don't like about Windows 10 is that the built-in search or Cortana or whatever it is not good. It has a real hard time searching between Dropbox and OneDrive and files stored on one hard drive that's still in the computer and my external drive that's plugged in. It can't find files very well.
I've never actually used Cortana, the AI.
I just hit the Windows key, and if I know
there's been a lot of talk that Apple and Microsoft might do a partnership because Cortana is so much better than Siri. Apple is so far behind Google,
right?
Hello Google, whatever they call it.
Well, eventually there should for users.
Cortana is better. Cortana is better than Google, but because it depends on Bing. For certain types of things you might ask it, Google has better results. Siri and everything in there, because they're not a search company. That's not what they do. They've got no idea what they're doing. Everything Siri does is terrible by compared with both of them.
Yeah.
I mean, compared with what we had 20 years ago. So if you were just an Apple user forever since it started, like, you're going to think Siri's still pretty good because it's better than, it can't understand what you say. If you've ever used a new Android phone or the last Windows phones that came out, or Cortana on your Surface, you realize quite quickly how Siri is like, it's like a monkey amongst humans. It's pretty smart. It knows how to use tools. It can crack a nut open, but Google's so far ahead. So there's been a lot of talk because Microsoft's obviously invested so much into Cortana and Bing, and Apple's so far behind. They might partner with Microsoft at some point, which would make a lot of sense for them both, because Microsoft isn't a phone manufacturing competitor and Apple isn't a search engine competitor. So, and Apple really lets them sell Office on their iPads now and stuff. So there's already been partnerships forged. So
Aaron got me a Google Home for Christmas, which I've yet to set up, just because I don't know what I would use it for. I mean, I would put it on my desk, but I'm just so used to Googling that it would be a shift it would be a fundamental shift in how I search to ask a little unit something.
Yeah, I'm not a big voice user, to be honest, myself. I just kind of watch it from a academic point of view to see what's happening.
Yeah.
I mean, Amazon's killing it at the minute. Like, Amazon's ahead of everyone, but they're kind of irrelevant in the mobile space, which is why I'm not mentioning them now. But
we got the Amazon Home. It's the one with the video screen, or it might be called something different. But I haven't even used it yet. But from what I gather, it was just very product centric. Like, everything was based around.
Yeah, I watched a Gary Vee video about it. Like, basically, you just shout things at it you want to buy, and it buys.
Yeah. Because at first they came out with those little buttons that you're supposed to put all over your house, like if you want a new.
Well, that's why your wife's buying all these things for you. She's sick of you putting things on her list.
my mother.
She's like, look, I've bought you the device. Just tell it to buy it for you, little turn. What are you putting it on a list for me? I need some new shirts and a couple of pairs of trousers. She's like, I bought you the device. Why aren't you using it?
I just think I think we're beyond the cusp where people of our age are going to be able to integrate that seamlessly into our daily lives. The way, the younger generation is going to come up and they're just going to grow with it, and it's just going to be an everyday thing for them.
I don't know. I think there's Jesus. Clients are crazy. Sorry, I've just had some insane email. Yeah, I mean, I think you're right to a point, because life's pretty good as it is. I don't really.
Yeah.
I don't need to shout at my computer.
I
think that, I mean, like we've spoken about before, the trade-offs have more negatives than benefits. Like, if it was just a straight-up device that I controlled and didn't save my data and send it somewhere in the cloud that I could shout out and tell it to do things, that would be amazing. But it's the fact that it comes with conditions that I'm like, well, I don't want to agree to all these conditions just so that I can order socks more quickly. Like,
well, there's that, and when it comes to voice search, also, it's like I don't have the granular control over what's being searched for that the same way I do with Google. Like, I don't have the advanced search operators. I can't filter the search with my query.
I think that's the problem. They haven't solved search, because someone actually posted this on our big SEO thread recently, talking about, like, someone was saying, search is solved. Google's amazing. They do these great search results. Everyone always clicks on page one these days. And he pointed out that, and actually Ammon Johns was talking about this down at Brighton SEO. There's actually been data that shows that because Yahoo users are less sophisticated, they type in a search result, and Bing uses Yahoo and Bing, and they click on something on the first page, and then whatever they've clicked on, they tend to just kind of go with it.
Mm-hmm.
Google users are more sophisticated, so we'll tend to do 10 or 15 searches before we buy something or before we stop Googling.
Right.
So the Google search volume stats, Ammon was saying, and I will have to get him on the show. I'll speak to him about trying to get him on after my holiday, so maybe like one of the June shows or something. Try and get him on because I'd love to hear more about that. But he's saying basically they look like they have 90% of search traffic in England, but actually they're only 60-40 ahead of Bing in the UK.
Wow.
But they have more searches because Google.
Because that smaller group of number of people is searching 15 times more.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, when I just
apparently that data is available, so I'd love to have Ammon go through it in proper detail on the show. So I'll give him a shout and see if we can get him on for a day.
When I'm searching for a product, and this is key just for all of us, top 10 best product review article writers and niche site guys, I'm searching. I'm using negative queries, so I'm using the minus operator and listing brands I know that I don't want to show up, websites that I don't want to show up, words that I know will throw my query off, so I'm taking those out of there. So sometimes a search query string can be like a sentence long, but I know that I'm going to zone in on what I want much faster.
I know I'm out of sync, but I'm going to throw in a little cheeky don't tweet this early.
Sure.
So this is why you have to watch the whole show, people, because the don't tweet this won't always be. Well, it's literally never been at the end. Like Vin's done like nine don't tweet this is in the middle of the show. You have to. So if you're ever looking you're doing link building and you're trying to find link roundup people to pitch, and you'll usually end up pitching them on Twitter or social media or something, not by email, but you're just trying to find the link roundups that are popular in your space. If you Google link roundup and then you put in any health-related term whatsoever, all you will get is information about Monsanto. Now, I'm not saying Monsanto's products have any health impact at all on the American population, of course. However, if you actually want to get any results that don't talk about all the negative implications of Monsanto's products, you have to use that negative search query minus Monsanto. Otherwise, you won't find any link roundups in your space. You'll find everything about the Roundup fertilizer or whatever it is, weed killer, or I don't even know what it is. But yeah, whatever the hell Monsanto's Roundup is, seems to have a lot of health-related articles about it on the internet. And so you want to use that negative if you're in that space. Otherwise, doing link roundup based searching on Google will prove to be very frustrating.
And that was one of my don't tweet this a few months back. If you want to find links that a competitor has, you can search for the competitor's URL, but also in the same query use the negative site operator for the same URL. So what that's going to do is that's going to show you every site that mentions the raw URL of your competitor, but it'll remove the actual competitor's links from the SERP. So that's good for people that can't afford a link tool. Also, you can just Google it for free just with the negative search, negative site operator.
Cool. So we don't have a word of the day today. We still have monkey fucking a football, which is I don't think that one's going to stand the test of time the way it's the 55-gallon drum of baby oil stood the test of time. We need a word of the day.
We're not going to call anybody today.
No, we are. We've been. Garrett says he doesn't have the energy, but he's looking pretty ready for a parent call. So we're gonna jump on the Google and we're gonna find someone's case studies and we're gonna interview them live on the. So what niche of SEO would be most interesting?
Let's do local SEO because.
All right, so let's do what's a big local niche over there?
Dental.
Okay, dental SEO. Case study. Let's ask someone some questions about their case study live on the air. They won't answer. We'll just, as usual. We need to actually, on a Monday or something, we'll do the prank call and we'll record the call and then we'll just cut it into the show or something, I guess. we'll play it like on the radio shows they play it live, and
Yeah.
we all react to our prank call and laugh along as we. All right, so what the hell's this? Cute Smiles Dental case study. Okay, yeah, let's see if we can get hold of these guys to talk to them about their case study.
Cute Smiles is a pretty big company.
Will they not be there?
Yeah, I don't think.
I mean, their case studies from 2014. Like, haven't you done any dental work since 2014?
Firegang.com.
Paste the link.
Big blue football.
There you go.
All right, Garrett, fire up the call.
Okay.
Firegang Dental.
Add people. It's interesting homepage. 800 398. Over under on $5 that this phone number is a real phone number.
This is a good one because they're saying position 1 in Google prior to SEO 0, and position 1 in Google they're number 1.
Thank you for calling Firegang Dental Marketing. If you are a current client, press 1. If you are interested in partnering with us or learning more about our services,
no,
2.
you should
For
call
billing
the
inquiries, press
Brand
3.
Dignity one, not Firegang.
Oh shit.
Hello?
I clicked the wrong one. Shit. I meant to just hang up on.
Oh, did you not press 2?
Vince said I called the wrong one.
No.
Hang on.
Go on then, Vin. You're in charge.
Wait, who do I want to talk to?
The Brand Dignity Cute Smiles Dental case study.
Give us the link then. Paste the link again.
It's in the.
No, paste it in this new chat. We're on a new call now.
Yes, Master.
I know what all this attitude's about, Vin.
Okay.
You used to be such a chill guy. Is this what happened when you started?
I'm too comfortable with you guys now. That's what it is.
You used to be so mellow, Vin.
It's gonna be
abuse from you for no
guys.
reason.
They're supposed to be on the West Coast. This company's in Florida. It's gonna be quarter to 10.
All right. We got to be better prepared for this. This is rushed.
All right. Let's do some Quora questions. Quick fire then.
Cool.
Let's see what we got. Answer. All right. This is actually quite an interesting one. Have you ever done Google Whack?
Google what? Whack?
Oh, the comedian over here. Oh, Jesus, I forget his name. Let me Google his name. It's quite a fun one for if you guys find a Google Whack. Let me see who did it. Fucking Dave Gorman, a comedian over here. He traveled the world doing a Google Whack thing. He had to try and the people he went and met that he found as a result of a Google Whack had to come up with a new one, and then he went to the one he found. He would go and.
Okay, so
basically, it's two words without quotation marks that result in exactly one hit, and then he went and visited the person who was responsible for that website, and they had to come up with another Google Whack together, and he would then travel to the next big result.
This was a show, or
he's a comedian, yeah.
Okay.
He does he does travel comedy. Like he tried to drive across America as a vegetarian, only shopping, eating, and staying, including filling up his car at independent gas stations, shops, and hotels. He failed. Well, actually, what was really funny is he thought he failed because he had to put fuel in at an Esso garage. So he ate a load of burgers to punish himself and vomited for 3 hours in the toilet. And then he found out it wasn't really an Esso garage. They just hadn't taken the sign down. They'd been kicked off the Esso network 5 years ago, and it was an independent.
Oh my god!
So that was actually the funniest part of that show, was just that he's an idiot. But The Google Whack one was pretty. The Google Whack one was pretty funny because it was just totally insane. Like the people he met, like that he found as these Google Whacks, and people came up with. I imagine it's much harder now because of the amount of data Google's got than when he did the show. But yeah, one of the core answers: what is something that is difficult for you to find using a Google search? So my answer is a Google Whack. I would imagine it's really, really fucking hard now to find a 2-word query that returns one result on Google now.
Here's a good one. What should I learn before starting a dropshipping business? SEO, Facebook ads, or other?
I would say for dropshipping, SEO is going to be a long learning curve. So probably to test the fit of your product to market. If you've done no dropshipping before, you don't know that your product will sell, then Facebook ads, because even if you break even, you'll learn.
I think most people do run paid traffic to dropshipping stuff.
Yeah. That's the old Tim Ferriss trick. Before you even think about developing a product, or in this case drop shipping a product, just set up a landing page and run paid traffic to it and see if you gain interest. It's gonna be a lot cheaper to spend $2,000 on paid traffic over a month and find out that nobody wants
it doesn't work.
And before you go ahead and start manufacturing something or set up licensing agreements for a dropship product or anything like that. So yeah, I would say Facebook ads is the answer.
How do I activate my Capital One Platinum card online?
Call word agents and give them the credit card number.
Yeah. I think what you need is probably about 500 pages of content, 5,000 words a page. Interesting one. I mean, how do you tell the difference between a reputable and a not reputable SEO agency?
Good question these days.
I guess you would have to ask for referrals and speak to.
Well, see, that's my main tip, to not find a reputable SEO agency, because it depends on who the referral's from. If it's someone at a big company that's been working with them for 3+ years, it's a good referral. All the dodgy SEOs get amazing referrals from local businesses that they got really good results from really quickly because they did spam.
Mm-hmm.
One of my big warnings to local businesses is if someone joins one of your groups, like they're a one-man band SEO and they're a guru, they're a genius, they know shit that Google doesn't know, and all of your friends are talking about what they've done for them, they're probably a scam, and your friends have been ripped off. And we spoke on a show ages ago about I think it might have been a BNI group, but it doesn't matter which networking group it was. Like we got invited to talk about what the hell they were all supposed to do because their main SEO person that they'd kicked out the group had got them all penalized by Google. We were talking about penalty removal for them. But he was getting really good recommendations from all the people in that group until they all got penalized. Like if you give me your site and you're a local business, you want to rank number 1 tomorrow for a period of time between 0 minutes and 9 months, I can do it for you with web spam for under $1,000 in most niches, in most competitive towns. The problem is you may never come back from what happens afterwards. But if I'm just trying to get good referrals from local businesses, I need to get you results for under $1,000 in 5 minutes. So you got to be really careful with referrals that it's a long-term deal, I would say. If they're not 3 years, 4 years, 5 years out from the campaign, it's kind of like, well, it's different if you're in the SEO industry. Like if an SEO that knows what he's doing recommends word agents, it's like he can read an article that Word Agent sends and say, well, this is an article that meets the technical and grammar specifications that is required these days to do well on Google. So you can trust his or her recommendation because they're an expert and they can assess the work. If you're getting a recommendation just from another business owner, it's worth nothing because they can't assess the work. They don't know if Vin spun content that cost him nothing that's going to rank in Google, or if he sent an amazing article written by a real American writer. They have no way of assessing it. All they know is that, my phone's ringing, or Vin must be amazing.
Right.
So you've got to weigh, like, is the person extremely knowledgeable, in which case you can take their recommendation after no time because they've been assessing the work. If it's someone who's like, if you're a small business and you're trying to assess someone, you can't take other small businesses' assessments after 6 months as worth anything. After 5 years, then obviously they've been with them for long enough that you'd hope Google would have caught them by now. But as Garrett found when he found a whole SEO agency that was getting away for 10 years with putting fake directories on all of their client sites, sometimes you don't get caught. So all of them will have been caught at some point, probably by now. Garrett was kind enough to let them all know, though.
Yeah, I'm surprised I didn't get sued for that one. But
well, you can't be sued as an American. Over here, I couldn't do something like that. But you can do that. That's free speech. Nothing you said wasn't even true.
Well,
You just provided them with a factual piece of information about content that was on their website. I'm pretty sure there's no way you can be sued for that in America. It'd be like writing to the New York Times and say, you do realize...
Well, so the problem is, even if... I'll just say it really quick. Even if they had no basis to sue me, they could still sue me and waste tens of thousands of dollars on me. And at the time, 5 years ago, made a good effort at bankrupting me. I couldn't afford $100,000 in court.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the problem.
5 years ago, that would have been tough. I don't know, though. A lot of that stuff would have been thrown out of court before you'd really incurred any costs, and then your costs would have been covered. And, the beauty of the American legal system is it's not what you've actually paid your lawyer that gets covered. It's what he proposed to bill you for the whole case that they have to then pay your costs for. So you might have actually landed yourself $100,000 windfall if they'd sued you. So it might have been a good result for you in the end. Have you found anything, Garrett? Anyone?
Nothing really good. Is SEO dead? So
this one's actually a good one. This is the last one. This is actually a really good one for Vin.
Sure.
So this person's acquired a portal, another authority site, and they don't want to use the old domain. Doesn't align with their brand. They want to use the content on a new domain and launch a new brand. What should they do strategically to make sure that works for them?
De-index all the old content on the old domain, republish it on the new domain, and then 301 on a page level from page to page to show Google, this internal link is now available on the new internal link. And it's going to be a bitch of a project, but that's the right way to do it.
Yeah, I think it has to be page by page. I think you have to delete some of them as well. Like some of them aren't going to align with the quality that you want on your new site. Like it might only be 10%, but
right.
Manually looking and deleting those 10%, I think will be worth it for you in the long run as well.
Or you could do the whole SEO osmosis thing too, and certain sites have this page where they list all the brands that they've acquired. And that doesn't get you really penalized either. So you'll just de-index the content, mention someone on your site.
Was it Nick Eubanks that did that?
Yeah. But this is somebody we know does this, and I can't out him, but it works well. You can just post the content on your site and mention that you acquired and rolled into your site, the old site that you purchased.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
But I think the 1-to-1, 301 page to page is probably the best way to go about it without getting yourself in trouble.
Cool. That's actually a good one to wrap up on for the quickfire questions.
For sure.
This is much better than Twitter. People seem to actually ask some sensible questions, with the exception of I think that's just a Quora bug that's in the feed. To be honest, the credit card one. The rest were pretty good, I think.
I've been filtering it for the past week too, so we're not repeating questions. I only look at questions that showed up in the last week.
Yeah, I'm looking at like the last 24 to 48 hours kind of thing. Just
cool. All right, we got
just a review. Yeah.
So DuckDuckGo app. So it's a privacy app. It's pretty interesting. I mean, I browse with uBlock Origin. So I've just been having a look at this, just not really expecting it to block better than uBlock or worse or the same. It gives more information about like you go to google.com or something and then click on the DuckDuckGo thing. It tells you what track. I mean, Google hardly is it. There's nothing on the homepage. So let's go to Forbes.com or something. Should have prepared better. Like everything I've been looking at all week has stuff. So yeah, like you go to Forbes.com, there's 5 trackers that are sharing your personal information with companies that you haven't given permission for your personal information to be shared with, and it blocks them all for you. Forbes has been enhanced from a C to a B recently, so they've been taking steps to improve the way they transmit users' identifiable information to advertisers and stuff, which is good. Congratulations, Forbes. A B is pretty good in the way the web is at the minute. Most websites are a C or worse, but it tells you, which trackers they're using, and you can see on there now with Forbes, it's media.net, Twitter, Google. It's pretty harmless things. I'm assuming back when they were a C, it was worse. So it's a pretty useful tool. It shows you easily what trackers it's actually blocking and what things different sites are using. So is this just an add-on to your desktop and mobile? It's a plugin for your browser. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. DuckDuckGo.app. It's interesting for marketers because obviously if you're in an unregulated market like America, the trackers are going to be their ad networks. So you can see that Forbes uses media.net. So it's going to be a useful competitor analysis tool as well to see what your competitors are up to live with your trackers and stuff like that. So it's going to be a useful tool as well as a privacy tool. It's going to be a competitive search tool as well.
One of these days when we have extra time on our hands, we should do a DuckDuckGo ranking case study.
Who was it we had on the show that? Oh, it was the Honourable Goyden. He was saying like even for coding questions now and stuff, and I've started to find it as well. I just I tend to use Bing just to avoid using Google for personal stuff, but I've started since he mentioned it trying DuckDuckGo, and for like coding questions and stuff, the kind of thing that basically you had to use Google and Bing for before because DuckDuckGo wasn't. It would return like 7-year-old results. Like you don't know what to. You don't want to know the solution. Like for Garrett's example on Rails 7 years ago. Like the number of updates they've done since then. If you copy the code or try and learn from the article, you're just going to do the wrong thing. It just wasn't pulling the latest answers up and the latest. It's now much better at surfacing for time relevant queries, the latest stuff. So yeah, let's put that on the show for next week, Garrett. If you want to pin it or something, we'll do like Vin suggested, a DuckDuckGo, Google and Bing comparison for some interesting queries. And if we all just come with 3 like what we think are interesting queries, I guess that'll make a nice little main topic. See what we can find. Because we showed the politics one a few weeks ago, didn't we? Where like DuckDuckGo was fairly just random, impartial politics, whereas Google had bubbled him to just show him the politics that he agreed with.
Yeah. I'm searching every web property that I own on DuckDuckGo right now. Seeing what pops up.
You need to do some more DuckDuckGo optimization. It's 1% of search traffic now.
Yeah. Cool.
I mean, I guess that's the point. I mean, that's a good point for people that have sites that are like doing millions. Like that 1%'s a lot of money.
Yeah.
If you literally don't rank on DuckDuckGo, Bing, Yahoo, you add all those little search engines up. Even if Amon Johns is wrong and Google really does have 90%, it's a lot of money if you somehow are doing something wrong where Bing and stuff aren't ranking you. So.
In my Google Analytics, I always have DuckDuckGo as a referring traffic source. But then when I go and I search for the queries that I think I should pop up for, I'm just like nowhere to be found. So
It'll be some weird long tail stuff that you're not expecting.
Yeah.
I'm getting a bit of a mixed bag here for the skin site on DuckDuckGo.
Yeah.
Some things are closed, some things don't even show up. Interesting nonetheless.
It's a fairly new site, I guess, so you'd expect Google to be quicker.
I do.
A lot of the content's been up for less than 4 weeks. Be interesting to compare the old versus the new. Not that we'll be doing that one live.
Oh, nothing that's been up in the last 4 weeks. Nothing that ranks. Okay. Nothing. This is all stuff that's been up for like a year.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right.
We can talk about
that. Yeah. DuckDuckGo is much improved. I'm still mostly using Bing for coding queries, though. I haven't. I optimistically set it to my default search on Firefox, but I have managed to stop using the Bing hashbang to just use Bing a lot of the time because I know I'm definitely going to get the result and I'm always busy. And obviously I use Google for work because, you know, seeing where clients rank on Bing is not very helpful.
Yeah, I'm actually going to install that app because that sounds super useful. And I like to know who the hell's watching me when I browse.
That would be interesting. You've got two fun projects because you've got DuckDuckGo traffic and you've got can you find a weird angle on SERPWoo? I expect some serious sick contributions to the main topic next week.
Yeah, I'll check out SERPWoo. That's what I'll definitely do this week. I mean
SERPWoo. I don't think you'll regret it. I mean, it's. Well, you know what the community is like on Builder Society. If it was shit, people would be pretty raging. It's like it's pretty good. I like it.
That would be my review for this week. Builder Society upgraded their infrastructure on the site. It's a little bit of an upgrade on the forum, and they've got some cool stuff in the works. So Builder Society is going to be growing a little bit bigger pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean, there's, that crash course is, if you guys haven't checked it out, the crash course is phenomenal. We've got an update plan. Garrett's working on it at the minute around, where he spoke about it before, the social outreach. So we'll be doing an update to our outreach chapter in the crash course, but, the amount of value that everyone has shared there is unreal, and I will never share the amount of detail I shared there anywhere else. Not in a million years.
Mm-hmm.
And I think everyone else who's a member is pretty similar. Except, maybe obviously Nick Eubanks has his own community. He's obviously going to share more on Traffic Think Tank than he does on Builder Society. I mean, unless he has a stroke or something, that's going to be the case. But for people who are, not selling their own communities and stuff, I think everyone who shared something on Builder Society shared more value than I've seen them share anywhere else. So, I mean, that crash course is phenomenal, and the community is really good. It's a quiet community. If you want to get some feedback on something, don't expect to just kind of swan around. But
if you ask a specific question, you're going to get a real good answer to it.
You're going to get like pages of amazing value if you actually ask a question. So. It's a community where there's no noise. It's just all signals, so it looks quiet. But the good discussions that pop up are super, super valuable because no one's wasting their time arguing about nonsense.
Yeah.
I mean, those people just get kicked off the community, so they're not around.
I got some user booted because I noticed that he was bumping threads about content services from like 2 years back. And then in every one of those thread bumps, he was promoting some random ass shitty content service. So
there's been some terrible content services on try to promote themselves around the internet. I mean, Builder Society has been pretty good at getting rid of them, but some of these people, like Garrett's tried out 20 over the years before we even joined Builder Society. Before we even spoke to Vin the first time, some of the articles he's got back, they're like, yeah, we'll do you a free trial. It's going to blow you away. and just some of the
Well,
articles.
you know what it is. The majority of quote unquote content services are either just, a guy and his girlfriend writing the articles, and then they get overwhelmed because they get too much work, and they take the work on because they see dollar signs in their eyes.
Yeah.
And then they crash. Or it's the, what we talked about before. Some, kid right out of college that thinks he's going to start a business, and he's going to take the orders and just subcontract to a text broker or, even me. But then you're playing telephone. It's too many steps between the client and the writer, and quality just goes down. So you got to put the work in with whatever web service you provide. You can't take shortcuts.
No, and you have to be humble because things will go wrong. I mean, things have gone wrong for us for sure, and you just have to apologize and fix it.
Yeah.
And honestly, like some of our best clients, we had something go wrong, on month 2 or something, and if you handle that wrong, you'll have a bad review and you'll lose the client.
Yeah, that's actually what I've been doing this week. Admittedly, I'm about 5 days behind on all my orders, just because we're super busy and overextended my team a little bit. So anybody that I was going to be late on, I proactively reached out, gave them a 10% discount.
It was my 10% discount.
Oh, fuck you. it's built into your price.
Well, don't rub my face in it, then. Let's.
No, we'll be back on track next week. But
I'm only teasing. I mean, we sent way too much over. Like we way more than we'd agreed. So I don't care.
Chris and Rebecca are they're chatting it up on Skype now.
Yeah, they seem to get on great. Like they've taken us out the loop. That's fantastic.
So instead of just trying to take it all at once, we're just churning through the priority stuff until we get back on track. But back to my point, just proactively addressing your failures before the client comes to you.
We're building a new system around that. When we're late, we're going to automatically reach out and do an interim report and stuff like that, because I guess to us, I mean, to 90% of our clients, they understand what the outreach is like, and sometimes we will, if we say 4 to 6 weeks, sometimes it will be the 6 weeks. But to some people who are new to us in the first few months, we've delivered their first 4 orders in exactly 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Just because it's worked out. The time that we're 4.5 weeks, they're thinking, oh shit, this has gone like all these other fuckers in this industry. We need to immediately be reaching out to people. So we're trying to improve our system so that we get the interim reports in front of the checkers, and we can just send those out automatically when we're late. And we're hoping to have that in place by June, just on the back of that kind of proactive, avoiding situations where we have to apologize, because we can, be upfront and say, look, you are you're literally just a week away. We're not, we're going to be within SLA.
Yeah.
We're not going to be as quick as the first 4 you got from us, where it just happened to go really quickly and it was, the quicker end of the scale.
And luckily in our industry, there's very rarely a time where being late by a couple of days is going to affect the client's campaign by much. If a client is really getting on my ass about being late, it's pretty much the client just trying to get on my ass for the principle of it.
I think the problem is there's so many scammers in this industry that people when you're late, people legitimately think, and they have good reason to think so, that you're not going to deliver at all.
Right.
We don't realize that because we're not scammers and we don't deal with those kind of people. So we trust the people we work with, and we know, I know, Vin's saying, I'm 5 days late. I know Vin's articles aren't going to turn up, so I haven't even sent him an email about it. They're going to be a couple of days late, whatever. I know his articles are turning up like clockwork because, I know Vin. But to new people to you who don't know, and this becomes relevant when your business becomes bigger, when all of our clients knew me and Garrett personally, it was the same situation. Like if we were 3 days late, no one cared.
Right.
You have to be cognizant that as you build a brand and become bigger, people will start to panic after an hour late, let alone, because there's so many dodgy people in our industry. They start thinking, oh, oh no, not again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have to just kind of have processes in place for that kind of thing, which is interesting. And that, I mean, it's a lesson for SEOs who work with businesses as well, because they panic even sooner. If you're a client SEO, you need to be proactively reporting. Your report can't be a day late. Like if you report on the 4th Friday of the month, you can't leave it till Saturday or Monday. Like you've got to, if you're going to be late, you have to tell them, because the level of panic clients have for SEO, the SEO industry is insane because of how the industry is.
That's can be another topic we talk about.
Well, I think we've covered it enough. I don't think we should go back to that.
Customer service in general. Customer service as an SEO.
Yeah,
I think that's a good topic. But yeah, guys, I think that wraps us up, huh?
Yeah, we're good to go. Hopefully next week I'll be a little more rehabilitated and.
He's done well considering how sick he is. Like,
yeah, we I don't think we even mentioned that on the air, but
Garrett's not very well.
we'll keep it a mystery until next week.
Yeah,
he's blaming England. It probably is England's fault. I mean, there's Terminal 3 is pretty dirty. So.
All right,
but yeah, we'll be back next week, Thursday, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. Yeah. Oh, actually, we need more people to send in questions and stuff. No one really did the last couple of weeks.
Question, word of the day, jokes, random comments, some fun stuff just to keep us. We need more segments. If you guys have got a really good idea for a segment, we're gonna. We're gonna actually do a prank call.
Yeah, let's for us three. We need to
like from like September onwards or something, like after the summer, we're going to be bored of doing they're not even prank calls. They're just, you're on the air with SEO Unmasked and we've got some questions. If you don't answer them, we're just going to insult your case study on air. If you do answer them, you can defend yourself.
We need some zany like DJ sounds, like sound bites to play. Like,
yeah, if someone wants to send Garrett one of those DJ boxes like PewDiePie has, where he pushes the button, you will totally accept one of those for free. And we will plug you as the provider on the air. So fire it over. DJ sound machine box button pushing thing. I'm totally down with the production industry. I know what that's called.
All right, guys.
Yeah. All right. See you next week, boys.
See you next time.
Catch you next week. Later.